There we go. We are here. Hello and welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live with me, Josie Rainbird, your natural gardening coach. I'm getting a notification on my phone. Let me put that to one side. I'm distracted. How are we all today? Have we had a good week? Good weekend, should I say? Bank holiday weekend. Always a treat. Make sure I've got the comments up so I can see you all talking to me. Absolutely fine. Perfect. Yes, it was a lovely weekend actually, up until yesterday when it took, this morning when it took a little bit of a turn. But mostly pretty good weekend all round. If where you are you don't have the bank holiday weekend or you worked, because it happens, unfortunately, I feel sorry for you. I apologise if it makes you sad that I'm talking about the bank holiday weekend. Let me bring up, because I was having issues getting the comments from YouTube up the other day when I was doing a live. So let me just get it up on my phone while it's sitting there, because it's told me people can see me, so that's fine. So I can read comments as they go through on there, and I can read them on stream now. So perfect. Fab. Okay. So yes, welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live. This week we are talking about how flowers can save your veg patch. I say save your garden. Save your veg patch. I've got 5 ways using flowers in your veg patch can save you. There's a lot of tough words to say in this today. I've got 5 ways to... Oh, hello. My phone's going funny. I might have to put that to one side so it doesn't distract me. I've got 5 ways of using flowers in your veg patch that can save your plants and protect them from pest and disease damage. So that's a really good one to start with. One on there. If you already grow flowers in your veg patch in any way, shape or form, even if it's just accidental or they're weeds and you've just left them there, let me know in the comments. I'd like to, if you know what they are. If you don't worry, just say yes or no. But let us know, because yeah, I'll be interested to know. Fab. Right, let me crack on. Hang on a minute. Drink my cold tea. Lovely. So the thought of growing flowers in with your fruit and veg was at one time very uncommon. It's very few gardeners tend to practice companion planting at the very least. If they did, it's usually because they didn't have space to segregate the two. So it's kind of, you had to grow them together or you didn't grow either kind of thing. So yeah, that was kind of how it was practiced, if it was at all. So it was very uncommon. Thankfully, this has become a lot more common, and the benefits have greatly improved how we garden today. Amazing. So yes, just putting that out there. So mind you, though, when you think about it, when I think about it anyway, I still feel odd thinking about people planting vegetables in with their flower beds, which does happen in some urban gardens because of the space issue. Like I say, you can't segregate the two. So if you want to grow veg, you can't have a specific space for them. They will grow them in their flower beds. Still, in my head, it's still a little bit of an odd thing, but then I've grown up with the space to be able to segregate them. So if segregate's the right word, separate them, grow them apart in their own areas. But if you haven't got the space, that's all you can do, then that's fine. I've got something come to my desk that's annoying me. Excuse me. Kick it out the way quick. Right. So yes. So it's a little bit of an odd thing to think about, but yeah, growing flowers in your in with your fruit and veg is much more common than it was once. Years ago, like centuries ago, it was quite common. A lot of small holdings, if you like, small farms would use companion planting quite readily before the commercial kind of, I want to say, greed came into it. When it's small, you're growing for yourself and your family kind of thing. They used to use a lot more natural ways of managing the health of the garden. So companion plantings like that came into it a lot more. But as it got to more commercial sizes, higher yields, more machinery being used and everything, it got forgotten about. It kind of got pushed to one side because it wasn't as effective as like the chemical products that were going out, the feeds and things. So yeah, so it kind of got pushed to one side, but it did used to, at one time, it did used to be quite common, but then it kind of just dropped off the wayside a little bit, but it's coming back. It's coming back, which is wonderful. So today we've got 5 ways that growing flowers in with your fruit and veg can actually save your garden. Way number 1 is companion planting, like we were just talking about. It's amazing. Now, companion planting has been part of horticultural practice for a long time. It has. And different ways companion planting can benefit your garden and look after your veg patch more recently have become a lot more, they're becoming like in the news. People are paying more attention to them. So they're becoming more common practice, as I say, across the gardening world. Including flowers can be very effective at improving the yield of your plants, of your vegetable plants, whether they're long maturing plants or quick maturing. I can't think of the words, like tomatoes and things like that. They take all season to mature. They can definitely affect, growing flowers in with your fruit and veg can definitely affect the yield, can improve the yield no end, which is why farmers used to use them years ago. One, to improve the health of the soil and the garden and everything, but they would improve the yield. It'll do it like this, which I'll get into in a second. Meaning you'll get much more fruit and veg from your veg patch simply by attracting in the pollinators, which are the key, really. Bees are key. So if we didn't have pollinators, we wouldn't have food, we wouldn't have medicine, we'd have a lot of things we wouldn't have. So pollinators are key, and attracting more of those into your garden, into your veg patch, will improve the amount of food you get. Simples. So I was talking about this in the membership the other day. So simply by attracting in more pollinators to your garden and helping to improve the pollination rates on your plants. So companion planting is really effective like this. But number 2 on my list is companion planting can help to attract in not just pollinators, but other beneficial insects as well, which will obviously help to manage the pest population in your garden, improving the overall health of your plants, reducing the amount of disease that spreads around your garden, the damage caused by this disease and caused obviously by the pests feeding on your plants, affecting the health of your garden, the resilience of your plants as well, and obviously an unwell plant, if you like, a very if it's been affected by disease, it's not recovering very well, is going to be less likely to produce any kind of flowers, buds, fruit, anything like that as well. So it's less likely to produce any kind of food. So we don't want this, ideally. So companion plantings can also help greatly towards the health of your plants. I was saying about the farms. So number 3, open and unplanted soil. Makes sense. Open unplanted. That made sense in my head, but I'm thinking that doesn't make sense. Open unplanted soil can become a home to invasive weeds. It could also have a lot of other issues as well. So if left unplanted, exposed spaces, areas of ground can lead to nutrients from the soil being used up by unproductive plants. So plants that aren't the plants that you're planting, like the weeds and things, that aren't going to produce you food as well. It's particularly important in your veg patch. If they're not producing food, you don't want taking up majority of the space. So unproductive plants, or being washed away by the rain, or losing condition and goodness very quickly that way as well, through erosion, rain, washing it all away and that kind of thing. So simply by filling the space with flowering plants, green manure like we talked about the other day, or fast growing veg plants, spring onions, peas, radishes, that kind of thing, just fast maturing crops that will appear quickly, which are really good, mature and grow and can be harvested quickly. This can actively prevent this. So great. So you really want to avoid, if you can, big sort of larger open spaces are like exposed to ground, because you'll end up like losing nutrients one way or another, and that won't benefit the plants overall. So companion planting, or planting in general, can help with this. Now, okay, so when I say about the unproductive plants, weeds aren't all bad. We've talked about this before. Weeds are not all bad. After all, they're just a plant. Weeds are just plants in the wrong place. So it can be fine to have weeds in your garden. Leaving the odd self-seeded marigold or borage plant in the garden, like I do, it's fine. They all add to the. They all provide benefits for the garden. Some weeds are particularly invasive. These aren't the weeds you want to keep in your garden. Then they're bad. They're bad weeds. So some weeds are particularly invasive and can use up a lot of the nutrients in the soil really quickly. They're very hungry and will grow really fast without giving anything back to the soil or the garden in return. They may produce some small, insignificant kind of flowers, but their main purpose is to grow quickly, grow rapidly, and take up space. They usually end up, like bindweed does, It usually ends up knotting up the roots of the plants, preventing them from growing and suffocating them basically, and taking up all their nutrients and starving them. So these weeds, hair mouth, these weeds are the ones you want to avoid. Make sure no comments coming through, that's fine. Weeds that flower are good. They're okay because the flowers will attract in the beneficial insects. So regardless of the flower type, where all plant is attached to, if it's a big enough flower, some of the small flowers will work fine because it'll all attract some sort of nectar-seeking insect. But weeds that flower are, in my book, okay to keep in your veg patch as long as they're kept under control. So weeds that leaf or with minimal insignificant flowers, like I said, providing nothing for the beneficial insects or pollinators in your garden, just ramble, grow and cross the soil and take up space and use up the nutrients, they need to go. So if anything, I will manage these plants. I will remove them the very best I can, and I will manage them the very best I can. Sometimes it's near on impossible to get rid of them out of your garden once they're there. So managing them is the best you can do. So that's a little bit on the weed side, kind of a tangent there, but I wanted to touch base on that one. That's number 3. So open unplanted soil can be home to invasive weeds. You want to avoid this if you can by planting them up with things that will benefit your garden. So as I say, going back over that quickly, just in case you needed to follow up, simply filling the space with flowering plants, bedding plants, companion planting, green manure as well. Although it might not have a flower, the whole process of it growing can improve the soil, can add nutrients to the soil when you dig it in. Like we were talking about the other day, I will link the video to the green manure video in the top there for in the group, and if you're on YouTube, I'll link it at the top so you can see, or in the comments somewhere, so you can go back and check that out. But green manure really good for conditioning the soil or fast growing veg, which will benefit you directly. So don't let soil sit bare and exposed. 4, along the lines of pest control again, like we were saying with the companion planting, sacrificial plants. Let me just take a drink because I can feel a croak. I don't want to cough. So, sacrificial plants. If you've heard this term before, if you haven't, I'll explain. Sacrificial plants are usually plants that pests will beeline for. They love. They will be the plants that they choose over all the other plants in your garden. Now, they can prove to be more resilient plants as well, with more hardy, fast-growing plants, so they can withstand a bit of battering from an aphid or from a group of aphids, because usually sacrificial plants will get a battering from them. So sacrificial plants are usually plants that the pests will beeline for, as I say, but they provide a bit of respite for the plants around them, which is nice. So in my garden, the sacrificial plants are usually the sunflowers and my nasturtiums, but also for the aphids, generally speaking, green fly, black fly, white fly, that kind of thing. So the sunflowers will attract the black fly more than anything, but the nasturtiums the green fly will go for, the aphids will go for. They'll all go there, and then the natural predators will know where to find them. They will just naturally congregate to the plants that are the sacrificial plants. They will find, it's like a buffet for them, so they'll know where to look. They'll know their prey. They'll go straight there, and they don't have to look anywhere else. This will give, as I say, the plants around them a bit of respite, protect any slightly more vulnerable plants that you're a bit worried about. If you plant sacrificial plants near them or around them or something, or plant them in a container and then move them away, you'll protect the plants. It's fairly simple, but it's sneaky. So other good sacrificial plants would be like chervil and parsley, which, if you've got a problem with them in the garden, very good at attracting slugs and snails. More slugs than snails, but they will attract both. So this is a very good sacrificial plant. So if you've got an issue, plant these in pots around the garden, and then you can collect the slugs and snails up and then distribute them near where birds are feeding or anything like that, or just take them to a near field and then release them if you want to. So chervil and parsley are very good for that. So yeah, as I say, if you plant them in a container, you can kind of remove them from the garden. Easy. So I use sunflowers and nasturtiums mainly in my garden because we do tend to have a bit of an aphid problem. We don't tend to get a lot of slugs and snails in the garden, which is really nice because we've really got a good bird population that visit the garden. So we've got a lot of thrushes and blackbirds and things that will eat the slugs and snails quite readily. And so we don't really get a lot of an issue with them. But we do seem to get quite a bit of aphid problems, which is fine because we do seem to keep on top of it nicely with the sacrificial plants and with the ladybirds, which is good. Lady swing populations are picked up in the garden as well, which is nice. So that's good. Yes. So that was sacrificial plants. Now I have got, which I think is linked in, it's definitely linked in the group, but I will find the resource as well and send it, post it again for you so you can see it. And on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, I will post it in the community so you can download it. I've got a companion planting guide, free guide that I've created that will talk to you about what plants grow best together in your veg patch, how they work, how they support the garden, different ways, different plants to plant and how they can support and everything. And I've got a companion planting, I'm sure I've got quite a few companion planting videos. I'm sure I've got a companion planting playlist put together. So I'll try and share that as well in both places so you can see. That will give you a bit more insight into companion planting. So my number 5 for today is interest and colour. So interest and colour. A lot of fruit and veg is rather uncolourful. It is. If you go for like the standard cabbage, leeks, onions, things like that, there are a lot of green, there are a lot of white. If you're feeling adventurous, there are a few that you can get which are nice and colourful. You can get some chards and different coloured beetroots, carrots, and things like that. There are a few, if you really look for it, that will bring a bit more colour into your garden. But generally speaking, the colourful vegetables don't always grow as well as the standard vegetables. That makes sense, the standard varieties. So generally speaking, a lot of fruit and veg are rather uncolourful. They grow effectively that way. That's why they're the favoured sort of vegetables to go for. When you add companion planting or bedding plants to your vegetable patch, it will create a bit more, a new dimension, if you like, to your vegetable patch, to your garden. You'll find yourself spending more time out in the garden. You're more interested in it. It will, what's the word? I've lost the word. I didn't write it in my notes and I've lost the word. It will just create more interest. It will motivate you. There we go. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but that works. It will motivate you to get out and enjoy your garden more, a bit more colour, a bit more interest in your veg patch. So as much as your garden requires care and attention from you, if you use the natural resources, I've skipped a bit. Apologies there. As I was reading that, I was like, that doesn't link in at all. When you're adding companion planting and bedding planting to your veg patch, it will create a new dimension to your garden. You'll find yourself spending more time out in the garden, as I said, just enjoying it rather than working at it all the time. As much as your garden requires care and attention, we're on it, it's fine. If you use the natural resources available to your garden correctly, a majority of care needed will be there without needing you to be there as well, be present. So allowing you to relax and enjoy your garden, which is amazing, which we love. Reap the rewards by growing your own fruit and veg with little effort, which is great. This does not remove you from the equation, but will save you a lot of time, money, and stress when it comes to garden care. So that was my 5 for you today. If you're in the group, I will post these 5 for you to catch up on so you can reread them. So don't worry about taking notes if you don't want to. It's fine. You can always watch this back on replay as well. So that's fine. You can do that. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll try and put the post in the community for you as well, so you can check that out. Alternatively, if you want to join the group, you can. The link will be in the description of this video. So that's perfect. Right. So this week in the Natural Gardeners membership, my paid membership service I've got, this month we've been talking about so grow your own month. So talking about your vegetable patch, how to maintain and support your vegetable patch using natural resources, saving you time, like we we're just saying, money, stress, removing all that from the garden care that goes into your veg patch. So removing it, reducing it, shall we say. So we're not trying to take you out of the equation completely, just reduce the amount of work, effort and cost that goes into it. So this week in the Gardeners membership, a Natural Gardeners membership, we are talking about how you can support and maintain your veg patch, the soil, the life within your garden, providing exactly what your veg patch needs, when it needs it, using natural and seasonal resources. So it's perfect, resulting in a happy and healthy garden, highly resilient plants, healthy plants, which require less I can't talk now, require less care whilst providing huge crops for you, which is what we're all looking for from our veg patch in the day. Decent, productive, huge crops, productive plants. That's what we want. So my next live for the membership, so Make Smoke training for the membership, will be on Thursday the 13th. You go cough, don't cough. So my next live will be Thursday the 13th not Friday the 13th, Thursday the 13th at 3 p.m. That's GMT. If you're not from the UK, Google it because I don't know. So it's 3 p.m. UK time. Also available to catch on replay if it's out of hours, whatever. If you want to catch up, it's available to catch up. If you want to join me in the membership to catch up on last week's training, because this is the second week we'll be coming into now, I will leave the link to join the membership in the comments as well, so you can check that out. Everything will be available to catch on replay, so you can do that. And I've uploaded a load of new resources as well recently into the membership library. Can't think what they all are, but there's quite a few different ones I've uploaded recently. So you can check those out as well. So they're only available to members. It's part of the membership. The resource library is all part of the membership and the trainings and everything. So that's fine. So look out for the link in a moment when I've finished this. Okay, so that's it for today. On that note, I will leave it there. Thank you for joining me. And wherever you're watching from, if you enjoyed today's live, today's show, if you give us a thumbs up, I much appreciated it. It just tells me that I'm doing good things and I'm talking about what you want to know. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more from myself, gardening naturally, green fingertips. And yeah, you can catch up on the rest of the videos on the channel. So have an amazing week. I will see you hopefully on Thursday in the membership. If not, I'll see you next Tuesday for another episode of Natural Gardening Live. We'll see you then. See you later.